Welcome to NFL Daily, where we discuss football filled with apologies. Because I would like to start off this show, which features Nick Shook. Hello, Nick. With an apology to the estates of both Roberta Flack and Robert Stack, as I combine them into a Voltron of a human being, which would be incredibly talented, but does not also exist. My apologies to anybody else. And Shook and Eric, thanks for putting up with my constant mistakes. Hey, man.
Hey, in the moment, I was just like, let's just roll with it. And then it started to make me question it, too. And I was like, I swear it's Stack. But the idea of Roberta Flack and Robert Stack combined, kind of frightening.
Yeah.
Maybe good enough for an unsolved mystery.
It would be very unsolved, and it would be there in Santa Clara near the substation and not next to the giant cancer-causing EM radiation source that we all know is 92 million miles away. Shout out to our star, by the way. So let's get into today's show. We're going to start with a little bit of news. We've had some this week. Some of it we weren't able to get to on this final pod before we take a little break. You guys can listen to some of Greg's musings coming up next week. We will start with that little bit of news, which felt like a lot of news, Nick, when the NFL sent Brenton Sorsby a letter that basically said no thanks. There will be no supplemental draft. You are the only entrant in this hypothetical supplemental draft. We are not pleased with the level of contrition you have showed with regard to your gambling. And basically, good luck to a possible introduction next year. Possible seemed like a very heavy-handed word there, Nick.
Yeah, that's what was, I think I don't know if I would say funniest, but most interesting note about all of it was the way it concluded, which is that you could enter next year's draft, like just enjoy preparing for that, but we're not gonna, make any special considerations for you, which is funny because the supplemental draft itself is not really all that special. It's not like this would be the first time that's happened. But it did send a message, which is that the league is not interested, I think, in trying to unpack the situation or the circumstances that led to this point for Brenton Sorsby. And the only thing that I really am disappointed in is the fact that his stock is now going to get boosted off of nothing. I saw top 10 quarterback lists hit social media after this announcement. Sorsby listed as high as 3 in some, and I'm just thinking, off of what? Like, did we not consider the existence of some other guys who are actually going to play football next year? So it's going to make for an interesting quarterback class, even more interesting than it already is.
It's funny because quality play enhances the conversation, and the conversation enhances the perception of how relevant a football player is. Like the way Trinidad Chambliss played in the postseason of college football last year, where it's oh my God. And that was based on what he did on the field. And all love to Brenton Sorsby's accomplishments, but a lot of it was vaporware in terms of the discussion about the hypothetical value that this player can have. And, I instantly said to Greg, because it seemed like this was all going to happen, that the NFL sometimes makes rulings based on the vibes of the conversation. And the general vibes of the conversation was, I can't believe he's gotten away with this. And so, the league was not going to be a part of him continuing to get away with this. And so here we are. And good luck to Brenton Sorsby. And, maybe all the other quarterbacks, Nick, who never bet $90,000 on their college football teams.
There are so many questions to answer that we'll never really know the answers to, which is, where did a college kid get $90,000 to place on bets, first off? And then it's also like, why did we get this out of season, pre-draft push of a player who's not actually going to be in the NFL this year? But yeah, it really felt like just a message was sent, which is that, hey, we don't want to really deal with this right now. It's kind of functions as a pseudo, 1-year suspension. So we'll see how it all plays out.
Yeah. And again, good luck to him. There was, of course, we've had a few suspensions in the NFL related to gambling. One of them was former Atlanta Falcon Calvin Ridley, who detailed his, again, much less involved series of wagers in a Players Tribune article. And his former teammate, Kyle Pitts, agreed to a 3-year, $54 million contract. I guess we can button that up with Britton Strange, whose injury last year for the Jacksonville Jaguars really changed their offense, in the middle to late part of the season. It's 3 years up to 54, 36 guaranteed for Kyle Pitts, and 3 years up to 48 with around 26 million guaranteed for Britton Strange. A couple nice tight end deals, Nick.
Yeah. First off, hell of a segue. That's why you're a pro's pro. And secondly, it was interesting that the Pitts deal comes first, and then immediately after the Strange deal comes, almost as if the Jaguars were kind of waiting for Pitts to sign first, and then Strange's deal comes in understandably below Pitts. But I like the language of it, which is the up to 48 million. It's always, in favor of the agents trying to boost their job well done or whatever, negotiating these contracts. But I expect Strange's deal to land more in the range of like Isaiah Likely, Mark Andrews than where Kyle Pitts is going to be. Still a good deal. And I think it's a good deal. It's going to look better in a couple of years from now for the Jaguars, taking a bet on, I guess that's not the term I want to use in this situation, but taking a chance on a guy who has steadily ascended, who was good enough in his second year to convince the Jaguars to move on from Evan Ingram. And I'm really excited to see really what this entire Jaguars offense is going to do in year 2 under Liam Cohen, a guy that I, didn't believe was going to be that effective in his first year in Jacksonville. And boy, was I wrong. Now in year 2 with Trevor Lawrence and this whole offense coming back and basically the team with the most continuity from one season to the next. I would love to see if Strange can continue to build on his own success and then make that contract look good.
Yeah, I love both of the deals in tandem because it shows there's space for the different brands and regions of tight end, just like there's space for different brands and regions of wide receivers. And as we go into more 12 and 13, I understand that there's a general push in appreciation for tight ends that do it all, but there's always going to be a space for Travis Kelce. There's always going to be space for a 6'5" guy in Kyle Pitts who can run away from people, jump over people, and score to the extent that we've seen Kyle Pitts in spots. And I know that there's frustrated fantasy managers. If there's a person who can do what Kyle Pitts does, that person's going to get paid, and you're going to have to draft them and just deal with the consequences. That's what happens.
Yeah, it's not the fault of Kyle Pitts that he hasn't produced to the level that fantasy managers want him to produce to. It's the fact that the Falcons couldn't figure out how to use him until basically last year. I think the best years are ahead for him, and that money is going to reflect it, or at least that contract's going to look good in a few years.
Yeah, great news for them. A bit of negative news as Terrion Arnold turned himself in. He was arrested in Florida in connection with what's allegedly a scheme to recover stolen goods that police in Florida are alleging he was the orchestrator of. The Lions have said that they're going to comment once more information is made available as we kind of sort through this because, law enforcement would like to have a monopoly on violence and recovery of stolen goods. And we don't, we want everybody to be safe. We don't want anybody taking matters into their own hands. And so we're going to wait and hope that everything sorts itself out in Florida with Terrion Arnold. That wraps up our news. It's time for the off-season ride-along presented by Toyota. As we look ahead to the 2027 NFL Draft, yes, you too, Brenton Sorsby, may be able to take part in the 2027 NFL Draft. Takes place Thursday, April 29th to Saturday, May 1st, 2027 in Washington, D.C. Get a chance to look forward to that.
And you know what? Look, I'm excited for the latest place for the draft to go to. I know this has been a traveling circus for, a decade now. It's no longer everybody make the pilgrimage to Radio City Music Hall and sit in the seats and get ready to boo the Jets pick. Now we're going from one place to the next, and there's a lot of positive momentum in Washington. And this right here, if you're watching on YouTube, is one of the reasons why. The Commanders, under owner Josh Harris, that whole group, have been moving positively for years now, and the renderings of their new stadium that they want to build are magnificent. This is in a world in which so many new stadiums are designed to look almost exactly the same. This one does not. This one is unique. What would be the new RFK on the old RFK site? It's obviously years away from construction, but the draft going there, going to give Washington a taste of the big time in the NFL, and it's going to precede what eventually will be a magnificent palace for Commanders football.
Yeah, and it's a far cry from the days, the dark days of the slur era for the franchise. Come a long way since then. And congratulations to all the people who have made it through that. I know there's a lot of people in our nation's capital. People do often wonder that there's a lot of a certain segment of Cowboys fans in D.C., and it's like, how can that happen? There was a period of time where the franchise was not amenable to all folks, and speaking of our nation's capital, that could also be said. That was the off-season ride-along presented by Toyota, because when people are the destination, your ride is important. Learn more at Toyota.com and find the vehicle that fits your people. Let's get to a fun off-season segment where there's so many chances, Nick, for us to rank things. We've had the NFL Daily 32 all summer. We've done wide receiver rankings with Nate Tice last week, quarterback rankings with John Ledyard comes out next week. Greg has famously been a part of ranking players even before the existence of this podcast, before the existence of around the NFL even. Shout out to NFL Top 10, which featured a very young Greg Rosenthal, would always air on NFL Network. Well, we love that. But we've ranked some things. Some of them have nothing to do with football, and I would like you to bat leadoff, sir.
Fun fact, Patrick, before you and I ever crossed paths, before I ever met Greg or anybody else, I was the producer intern on NFL Top 10 at NFL Films way back in 2014. So this is a near and dear to my heart.
How have I never known this?
Yes, this is where I started. Jason Weber, the producer, I ran to him in, I think, New Orleans before the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. Great guy. I was his intern way back in the day. And not only was Greg on that show, our dear late friend Chris Westling was also on that show. And that was the first time I ever saw either of them on camera before I got to know them as closely as we have now.
Did you guys shoot the number interstitials? That's what I want to know.
No, those were already there by the time I got there. But I will say there was one comedian whose name will not be mentioned who was supposed to show up for an interview for a show one day. And I was very excited to see him because he was on a popular sports-related comedy at the time. And he bailed on us and said he was sick, but he did morning radio that day. And I've never let him, I've never forgotten about it. He's on my list. He's definitely on my list. Also on my list, non-football topics. And we're going all over the place here. Okay. I'm just going to start it out right now. This is, as I thought about what would I like to randomly rank. I'm somebody who likes to, kick back, have a good time from, here and there. So I'm going with your top 5 situational beverages. For me, my beverage of choice is, of course, a beer. I'm not going to name the brand here because there's partnerships, but number 5 on the list, it is perhaps the most cliche one of all. It's the shower beer. Now, the setup's got to be good. You got to be in the right mind for the shower beer. But if it all works out well, it's a good way to start whatever evening or day you're about to embark upon. Number 4. Nothing better than going to the airport early, sitting down at a bar and having an airport beer, or getting stuck in a layover like I did in Atlanta last year and having a couple of beverages at the airport bar. The airport beer is number 4. Number 3, when you live in a place that has very defined seasons like I do, there's nothing better, even though I just said there was nothing better than the airport beer, than stepping out onto a patio and having the first patio beer of the year when it's sunny out, when it's nice. Could be a rooftop as well on a warm summer night, but that first patio beer just hits different. Down to number 2. I'm a guy who enjoys tending to his yard. The post-yard work beer is just, it's refreshing. Yes. It's rewarding. As soon as you crack it or you pop off the cap to the bottle, you're just like, I earned this one. I'm going to enjoy this. Maybe you're sitting on your porch or just admiring the work. I just edged my yard last week. I'm looking down the lines. They're crispy. So is this light draft or this light Pilsner that I'm drinking as well. Very crispy. And last but not least, my favorite beverage, my favorite beer of all. One of my favorite reasons one of the favorite things about living in Cleveland for me is how the city is very centered around sports. And there is no better day than when the Cavaliers or the Guardians are in a playoff game and the whole fan base descends upon the city and you all hang out hours before the game. It is the first beer at the start of an all-day sporting event. You can think about those playoff games. You can think about an NFL tailgate, the community and the taste of that first beverage. When you know you're going to have an all day, a marathon of fun. That's number 1 on my list.
It's a great list. I'm looking back and adding beverage in because it applies not just to the the barley and the wheated, because I'm not necessarily a beer guy, but the order that you have, like, it almost goes into the order of accomplishment, right?
Oh,
like that shower beer, you're getting up or maybe you're going to bed. Either way, like the barrier for entry at the airport, you've accomplished, right? Getting there, baggage has been checked.
TSA.
Yeah, everything is done. So you're finishing up there, getting out on the patio. You have a patio, like you've done everything you need to do. So you can just go out there and do nothing. Yard work, you finish the entire thing. You can enjoy it in there. And then the whole team community coming together to have a playoff beverage. Come on, man. You're right.
I love to bring people together or at least celebrate accomplishments. And those are all celebratory to me in one way or another.
All right. I am going to rank general summer things as they popped into my head. And at number 5, the moment you set the hook on literally any form of fish, it's the culmination of the process of picking out the time, the bait, when to go, where to cast, all leading up to that moment, combined with the uncertainty of what's at the end of the hook, as every single child's toy is some form of loot box nowadays. And almost everything is a loot box. That is nature's loot box, and you get a chance. It could be small, it could be tiny, it could not be in the legal limit you throw it back. You put another one in there. But that moment where you feel that first head shake, that's at number 5. Number 4 is realizing you're looking at a great 10 to 15 minutes of a blended fruit beverage where perhaps you've augmented it with some form of whey, or maybe you just don't care about the macros that day and you're having, whether it's some banana, mango, acai, blueberry, just some form of blended fruit where you know whether you're walking, driving, you can mindlessly consume the sugar for the next 10 to 15 minutes. Unfortunately for me, it's more like 5 or 6 and you get sad when it's over. But when it first starts, man, that's awesome. At number 3, fireworks. They're dangerous. They can hurt you. They can hurt other people, but it's big thing, go loud and go boom. And maybe somebody may, be convinced that you're celebrating 250 years where you might not have been included for the whole 250, but who cares? It's a big, great thing. I love loud noises. My dog doesn't, but she'll be all right. Everybody will figure out. Number 2, you're traveling somewhere and you wake up on the plane while the wheels are hitting your destination. You have somehow managed to not drool on yourself and embarrass yourself for the entire flight. You've managed to navigate, somebody's managed to navigate the cart down the aisle without terry-tating your shoulder and alerting you from the slumber. So that's good. And at number 1, the first few seconds of people being at your dwelling, having a good time, drinks in hand, you realize that you have brought all these people together and the meat is on the grill and it is cooked to perfection. That is my number 1 summer thing.
Number 1 is the best because that's my favorite moment too. But I got to point back to the blended fruit beverage because I'm glad you said 5 minutes because for me, it's maybe if you're lucky if it's 5 minutes. And,
right.
And usually there's some sort of banana. I might have a little bit of like peanut butter in there as well. And as soon as that first sip hits your lips, you just know this is going to be gone very quickly. I'm not going to stop. I'm driving with one hand, continuously sipping with the other. I might even get really obnoxious and start slurping on the straw and making loud noises. I don't care about decorum. I'm enjoying this beverage. What a great collection of items there.
Yeah, the CEO of media itself could call me while I'm drinking a smoothie and be like, Patrick, we've got bad news. And I would, I would listen and I would be sad. I would stop drinking.
Yeah.
I didn't
like we're all losing our jobs. All right.
All right. Next ranking, sir.
All right. Top 5 Lil Wayne projects. Lil Wayne, arguably the best rapper alive from the mid to late 2000s into the early 2010s. That was like when I was in high school. And it was just peak music for me. It was also peak mixtape era.
Yes.
And he was a master of producing hits across all formats. So, number 5, it's the album that dropped, I think, my sophomore year of high school, the Carter 3. That's the one with, Lollipop and a number of other songs that have now suddenly escaped my brain. But A Milli, that's another one. That's the one that I know every word of front to back. You ever want to impress somebody? Just throw on A Milli and they'll just do the whole thing. And then they'll look at me halfway through and be like, I'm tired of you doing this. There's another minute 30 left in this song. Yep, and I'm not stopping. But it was a great album. Probably his peak. Number 4, mixtape, Dedication 2. And this is where it gets really difficult for me to separate because the next 3 are all mixtapes. But that's how good he was. He didn't even have to sell the album to you. He just made it available online because he was on a generational run of just spitting bar after bar after bar over somebody else's beats, acknowledging that I'm not making money off of this, but I'm going to do a better job at it than you. Dedication 2 leads off that group, this 3-pack of mixtapes. Number 3, No Ceilings, which got remastered, I think, semi-recently and put on streaming platforms, which was to my delight. No, it was just a wonderful thing. That's another one where every word of multiple songs that was constantly in the rotation back when that came out. I want to say that was 2009 or 2010. That was when you burned on a CD and put in your little CD player in the car. For me, it was a Honda Civic. Number 2, his best mixtape, in my opinion, which is Drought 3. And I had a hard time separating between these 3 because I'm running them back today. And I'm just like, God, I know all these songs and they're all hits. Like, this is insane. But Drought 3 was just something special, something different. And number 1, the Carter 2, which was not the album with Fireman, but it was the album after Fireman, when everybody officially acknowledged that that wasn't a one-hit thing, that the young guy from the Hot Boys is now here and he's here to stay, and you better respect and acknowledge and enjoy his music. There are so many good songs running down that album. I could listen to that one for days, still do. So that's my top 5 Lil Wayne projects.
Yeah, and it's impossible to rank. And I appreciate you taking the effort to rank them. There was a linguist, and I wish I could find it and shout out this particular linguist, but pointing out that the contributions to language itself from a 17-year-old from the 504, we say bling now as if it's just general. That was a teenager. That was a young Mr. Carter that provided that to us. I was thinking that you were going to have No Ceilings at 1 just because of the number of. It's a 20-track mixtape, and I mean so many of those mixtapes had tracks. But when I think about the Run This Town cover, where you get right, he names the New Orleans corner at the time, which was Frank Minyard. Blank with me wrong, you'll be waking up in his yard. And then he rhymes that with Nimrod, Himrod, and Employed. Like it was incredible. It was a moment, and I'm just, I wish we could have him back. But sometimes, moments in time are fleeting.
He's a great example of why you got to appreciate the prime of anybody, whether it's an artist or an athlete. It's not going to last. Nothing in life. This is one of my mantras in life. I don't know if mantra is the word. Sure, we'll go with it. Nothing is forever, good or bad. So appreciate it while it's there, or understand that the bad times won't last forever.
And it's a perfect lead-in to my next ranking, which is things from the old internet that I miss, and moments that I want to celebrate right now. I'll start off at number 5. I'll jumble these all together. It was Team 4-Star, Red versus Blue, the old Fensler film, G.I. Joe, PSA parodies, My Way Entertainment, X-Men dubs, that actually led to a line from the actual Juggernaut in a 20th Century Fox X-Men movie. There was a whole genre of dubbed copyrighted content that we used to have on the internet that was foundational humor for so many people of our particular age range. I'm not going to divide it into weird generations because people can still appreciate that content today. I miss that. I also miss at number 4, the Windows print screen button actually printing the screen. It would take a screenshot, it would go to the clipboard, you would Control-V it into a very slim version of Microsoft Paint, and that was it. It wouldn't open the snipping tool. I don't want the convenience of the snipping tool. Yes, there will be some circumstances where you need to blur out some of your search history or maybe some weird tabs before you posted the picture, but it was so simple. Print screen, printed the screen. I wish we had that back. Number 3, MySpace. We were learning HTML. MySpace Tom was there. He did sell out, but he left us all. He didn't seek to wield the power provided by his social media network to ultimately wield more political power to make things worse for everybody else. As far as I know, he's still chilling at that chalkboard. It was weird. We ranked our friends, which is odd. People shouldn't do that. Maybe it had some cultural consequences there, but I do miss it. At number 2, AOL Instant Messenger. Before there was Slack, before text, before our email culture, there were buddy lists. There were random conversations with people who were obviously not the person that they claimed to be, but they were still somewhat fruitful. You just had to be there for AOL Instant Messenger. I hope everybody navigated that process safely. And at number 1, old Google.
Oh.
The Google where you search something and relevant information popped up on your screen. If you remembered a line from a book or an article, for the uninitiated, articles, there used to be a lot of them before the forces of capital realized that you could purchase journalism itself. And they tried to utilize it for surreptitious means, but then they realized it would be more effective to just kill the entire industry, including actual journalists in some capacities. But anyway, remember when you could search a line from a book or an article and you didn't even have to get close. You could kind of ballpark it, and the thing that you wanted to look for was right there. And it was the top result. Those days are gone. God is dead. We have killed God and inserted a replacement at the cost of the productive capacity of the planet. I say we, but the truth of the matter is the power dynamics between labor and capital are so slanted that we're all getting force-fed a thing that we do not want and is hurting us. I miss the old Google, Nick.
And that thing that we do not want pops up at every Google search at the top and tries to have a conversation with you. Leave me alone. I'm looking up an obscure detail. I'm trying to find the roster of the 1993 Toronto Blue Jays. Leave me alone. I don't want answers regarding the current team or how they fared in the World Series last year. My favorite point of yours on that list was definitely MySpace, because there are so many avenues you can travel down. It's the ranking of friends, who was in your top 8. It was the customization of your page. It was how MySpace drove music for a while, which kind of leads me to my next question. What was your MySpace song, Patrick?
Oh, this is embarrassing, considering the great and culturally informative music that we just discussed. It was Riding Dirty by Chameleon.
Yep, and that is very much of the time.
And it was not, Shook, this was early. This was the MIDI version of Riding Dirty. And so it was.
I know what you're talking about. It's like sounds garbled.
Yep.
Especially the intro sounds very garbled because it was definitely pirated before it was even actually released commercially. I know exactly what you're talking about. Mine actually was kind of similar. It was Lil Kiki the Don's I'm a G, which is actually a song that's very hard to find these days. That was my choice.
The old internet. All right.
The old internet.
Last ranking for you, sir.
I could have asked you what your AIM name was, but I think that's just too cliche.
No, it was Pacdu52. That was it. Because
mine was
blocked you. It was It
packed you 52. Yeah, that's like I had a friend who was blocked the plate something because he was a catcher. Mine was less creative. It was my initials and my school's mascot and 3 random numbers. Did you know my dad made it? Because he did. All right. Top 5 terrible purchasing experiences.
Oh, boy.
Number 5, it's not so much the purchase, but what happens after the purchase. It's receiving endless review requests for the most mundane purchases or products. Did you go to Home Depot and buy, I don't know, 12 M3 screws because your bolts that you were trying to use for some home project and you wanted to go with the metric system? How was your experience? I don't know. I just pulled a bunch of drawers out until I found the one that matched it. Why are you harassing me? Get out of my email. My Gmail storage is already almost full. Number 4, the awkward moment when the cashier / server / bartender uses their little remote device and you give them your card, and then they hand it back to you and they go, okay, it's going to ask you a question. And that question is, how much additional money would you like to give them? Which you don't even know if it's going into their pocket. It may just be going to the person or the company that maintains the service that they use for you to pay. And every time you just have to you're guilted into 18, 20, 22%, and they act like they're looking away. Some of them don't even look away. Tipping culture, way out of hand. This is something that's been covered breathlessly across the internet. Number 3, buying a car, but only after spending 9 hours at the dealership, which may or may not even include the test drive. We've already haggled. I've done the walkout and come back once already. I'm sitting down with your financing guy. Why am I still here? Can I go home already? It's Thursday night. I know you're open late for people like us who don't get off until we're late, but my God, why is this so difficult? Number 2, and this is for those who, especially in this market, as like you said, the divide wealth-wise continues to grow. But those who actually have the means to do so, closing on real estate, which is a process that takes forever and involves so many steps. And it's kind of like starting an LLC. There's nobody there to tell you what to do. You just figuring it out, just flying blind. Oh, what do you mean I need title insurance? What? Well, I have to pay for this. An inspector? Why am I paying thousands of dollars to get this processed? When can I get the keys? Let me in already. And number 1, gym memberships, specifically canceling a gym membership. They'll make you jump through 50 hoops. And I've gotten pretty good at this when it comes to other subscriptions, which continue to grow. Much to my dismay, but gym memberships, they'll get you for life. It was only $19.99. It's a hell of a deal. You're going to use this all the time. Oh, you got busy in life. You don't go. You moved away. You're still getting billed. No matter what you do, you can't stop it. Canceling a gym membership, the ultimate worst.
It is, and a lot of things in common with those folks that work at a dealership. And again, if you want to call in and defend the dealership model, you could email both myself and Shook, but be sure to include the prices of the last 7 vehicles that you've sold, and let's make sure that all those prices are the same. Otherwise, you were lying to somebody. And so, if you're standing there and there's the group of people at the gym whose job it is to lie to people who walk in, and then there's a group of the people who actually work at the gym. Make sure if you're working out, you actually talk to the people who do the work and aren't just there to lie to you, because those people are there to lie. It's very unfortunate. We could do an entire pod on the amount of time that gets wasted at car dealerships where they go and they have that fake conversation with somebody else.
And let me go talk to my manager.
Yeah, and they're probably in there laughing at you and how big of a mark you are. I don't like you, guy, that's trying to sell me something. I don't want to tell you where I work. I don't want you to measure me up. I have the numbers associated with doing that from a credit industry that I never asked to be a part of in the first place, and I've navigated all that to have you come there and lie to me about why it's necessary for you to lie to me. I don't care. There's no reason for me to care how much money you make as a part of this. How much is it? I will decide whether or not I want it. I wish I could decide whether or not your job existed at all. You're absolutely right, Shook. I wish we could just see how much things cost and then decide whether or not we're going to buy.
Yeah, well, transparency. I mean, I understand, like, everybody's trying to get ahead, right? And it's a dog-eat-dog world, and it's never been more true than it is now. But my God, can we just be? Let's just be blunt. Let's be direct with each other. Let's stop beating around the bush. Let's just talk person to person here. And no, I don't want to fund your boat, and I don't want your free donuts. Okay?
It's like, oh, we're the #1 volume. I don't care.
Congrats.
I don't care how many other marks do you think that you've been a part of. Like, what is it? Like, what's the thing? Where are you willing to go? I'll tell you where I'm willing to go. I'm willing to go anywhere with Nick Shook and Eric Roberts. And the people who listen to this podcast. If you've made it this far into the offseason and you're consuming our content, we appreciate you. We're a group of folks who care about football, care about each other, and we care about you guys listening. And so we got a lot of great stuff. Greg has made some things for you coming out next week, including the best football books ever. You guys understand Greg's commitment to ranking things. He's going to provide that. That comes out on Monday. We got the NFL Daily 32 quarterback rankings, which is going to come out on Wednesday. Looking forward to that. And looking forward to doing this podcast, which I'm glad to get a chance to do. For Nick Shook, for Eric Roberts, for everybody across this entire nation that's a part of doing what we do. Thanks for listening to NFL Daily. We'll see you next time.